Hi, everyone. Hi, how's it going? Great to be here. I am Katherine. I am on the partnerships team of the Next Billion Users team at Google. How many of you guys have heard of NBU? Oh, cool. Okay. And yes, I see someone there. Yay. That's fabulous. So we actually deal with all things emerging markets. And as you know, gaming is very big in a lot of the emerging markets here. And so our group has developed oh, thank you. Our group has developed a product called App Rewards that's currently an early access program. I'm excited to talk to you about it here today. And the idea behind App Rewards is to reward actions that matter in your game. So this is a stat that many of you are probably very familiar with, and that only 15% of installs remain in use after the first 7 days. And so this is a stat that's more generalized towards all apps, but it's probably also pretty relevant to gaming. Someone plays your game, downloads it, plays your game for a few days, they get disinterested, or they continue just playing for free and then never actually buy something within your game. So with all the tools that are out there that help you acquire users, and so you acquire users, but there is a big drop off that happens, as users continue along. How do you get users to monetize within your app? So, what we've looked at right now is with a lot of gaming companies, you're providing in-app rewards and in-app incentives to your players. So for example, if they play for a certain number of days, you give them a free bag of diamonds, free swords. But what if you were able to actually provide them with third-party rewards that are locally relevant to them in their given markets? And so App Rewards can help you reward in-game purchases. And what we do is we focus not at the top of the funnel, but actually at the bottom of the funnel. So you go through and acquire users, you onboard them, have them play the game. And then at the exact moments when you think that they're actually about to purchase something, we help you provide a third-party reward to them to actually get them to nudge them to make a purchase. So this is App Rewards by Google. You are the app developer, game developer on the left-hand side here. You concentrate on building your game. You acquire the users, and Google is here in the middle. So what we do is we provide a lot of the platform service, including billing, payments, collections, and one specific one that I'll call it is actually fraud and abuse. So a lot of the studies that we show, show that fraud and abuse is actually particularly important in NBU markets and Western markets. A lot of users feel like incentives and rewards sometimes come with a lot of hidden catches, gimmicks, and also, on the other hand, users will also take advantage if you're running promotions and may make a lot of fake accounts, etc. So we've actually built a lot of platform services using Google Magic to detect users that are actually fraudulent and not actually intending to make purchases within your game. On the other side, we also work with a lot of local partnerships and international partnerships with different companies. And here's a few samples of some of our partners here. We work with these companies so that we get these rewards, and then, voila, we give the reward to your user. So when you look at the entire ecosystem here, you on the left-hand side, you concentrate on designing your campaign. So you pick an action, you pick, I want to reward a user who's been playing with me for, 5 days. Or I want to reward a user who's been, reached up to level 7, and when I want them to reach up to level 10, buy XYZ, in-app purchase. And then Google takes care of everything on the right-hand side. So currently, we are available in India, Indonesia, with Brazil coming up this quarter, and the US in Q2. And what's interesting is that, as I mentioned before, I am part of the Next Billion Users group, and so why is US on the list? One of the interesting insights that we have actually seen from our years of working is that a lot of the insights that we get from NBU emerging markets users are actually very relevant to Western markets. So we've seen a lot of demand from our app developers who have said, look, we really like the product and we really like that we're trying to monetize a lot of emerging market users, but we actually see a big applicability to US users as well. So we've heard you guys, and we're actually launching in US next quarter. So what does this actually look like? So here's a sample user experience. This is a hypothetical booking app called SweetStay. And what they want to do is they want to incentivize users to book in a hotel stay within the next 7 days. And so the great thing about this is that it's the SDK integration. You decide how you want to run your campaign. So in this particular one, they want to incentivize users to book in the next 7 days and get a 75,000 K rupiah, which is like in Go Ride credits. So once the user sees that reward and incentive, they then decide, oh, wow, that's awesome. I was just about to book a hotel. Now I'm going to go through the flow, book a hotel, and then I get my reward in the second screen. Once they identify themselves, log into your Google account, they then receive the reward in the third panel over there. And so, as you can imagine, this will look very, very different in your app, your game. And so the great thing about it is that you can actually customize it to look like your UI, UX flow and decide where to show the promotion within your game. And so this is another case study of Files, which is one of Google's apps where they're able to drive future usage and new user acquisition in India and Indonesia. So I think one of the questions that we always get is like whether or not third-party incentives are going to be effective, because you give the incentive to a user, they get the reward, and then they never come back again. And so we actually took a pretty good care into actually measuring retention and engagement, and we were able to find, for example, 73% permanent uplift in the usage for that target feature. And this is another example of an app called IOPOP. And they were able to use our platform to drive paid subscriptions and first-time bill payments in Indonesia. One of the things that we've realized within NBU countries and that we've heard from a lot of gaming and app developers is that it's really easy to get gamers to come and play your game for free, but it's actually really difficult to actually get them to monetize. And so there's a lot of issues that we see here. For example, we see barriers like trust, making online payments for the first time. There's a lot of free content in NBU markets. So we think that a reward can be the really interesting carrot that gets a user to get over some of the barriers around monetization to potentially make a purchase for the very first time within your game. And in this specific example, it's on Bahasa, but it follows the same flow where user sees the promotion, the second screen, they then make that purchase, and then the third screen, they then get the reward. And what's also interesting here too is that Google is actually investing a lot of money into optimizing this product to be specifically for delivering rewards to the user. So you can't see there, but very small, there's a link to terms and conditions there on the first panel. And a lot of our user research showed that in a lot of these markets, user trust is a pretty big problem. And so users want to see a link to the terms and conditions to make sure that the promotion is actually real and that they're not being defrauded. So we're constantly optimizing this product and working with app developers and game developers to find different use cases for using incentives, and really looking forward to hopefully working with you guys. So thank you so much for listening. If you are, if this is something that's interesting to you, we are running our early access program now, and probably will be for the next quarter or two. And our focus in 2020 is actually on gaming companies. We've so far worked with a lot of apps, and it's slowly starting to, get into gaming. And one of the great features is that we want to do experimentation and to be able to find different reward types, different reward amounts to find the best optimal amounts of rewards that it takes for your users to monetize. So thank you so much, and open to questions for, I guess, a minute or two.
So now we're opening, testing. We're opening this up to questions. If you haven't heard before, go to slido.com, SLIDO.com, and type in the code MGS20 if you want to ask her any questions. I'll be reviewing your questions. We have 3 minutes, but if you don't have time to submit your question, maybe you can talk to Katherine after. But I don't see any questions right now, so... Maybe. Yeah, you can go reach after her after she comes down to ask her any questions. Thank you. And give her a round of applause.
Thanks.